Hello, this is Jamie Magrich. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. Now this is inspired by all the artwork that Stampin' Up has done. This is what inspired it. Now I used different blue because I wanted to stamp my sentiment over the top and because I was playing with a color challenge. So let's get started. And this is the card close. Alright. Inks. I have Pacific Point, Granny Apple Green, Daffodil Delight, and Poppy Parade. And again, the colors were a color challenge. So that's why I chose those colors. Now, stamps. Pretty Perennials, I'm using this one. For this card, that's the only one, and the sentiment, happy birthday. And I'm using Beautiful Friendship. I'm using this stamp, and these leaves, and this little flower center thing. Cardstock, it's an easy one. 4 by 5 1/4, 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored and folded at 4 1/4, white cardstock. That's it. Okay, so let's get started. First thing I'm going to do, you might need a post-it note. You don't have to have this part, but it just makes it easier for making a mask or any kind of masking material you want to use. So I'm going to start with the Pacific Point and this large flower here, and that one's from the Pretty Perennials. I'm going to ink that up and I'm going to stamp it. I'm going to make those third quadrants. The rules of 3 make it more pleasing to the eye, but I'm not going to put it right in this exact I'm going to do it on this line, but more higher. That makes sense. Okay. I'm also going to stamp it on my post-it paper. Then I'm going to cut it out, and just for the sake of time, I've already done that. Okay. Now I'm going to place this over my stamped image. I didn't. Okay. And that's all I'm going to use the blue for now. Okay, Granny Apple Green. Stay in the frame, and this leaf, which is from the Pretty Perennials. And I don't know if there's a right or wrong to this, but I just kind of picked one end to be the outside. I'll stamp one there. Look it up again. I'll stamp one here. I'm going to stamp a couple over on this side. Okay. Now, I think I want to do this one first before I do the rest of the leaves. I'll leave that open, but alright, open the Poppy Parade. I need this open still too. And I'm going to do what's called partial inking. Well, I'm just going to try just to ink up the flowers by, well, that's not on my block very well. just by using the edge of the stamp pad, I'm going to try and just ink up the flowers with the poppy, and then I'm going to come in with the green, and on the corner I'm just going to try to ink up the stems. Okay, and I want one of those down here, or over here on this side. Okay, and I'm going to bring in my chamois and wash it off. And then I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm only going to ink up this one flower. This little one here. So I'm going to try really hard just to get that one flower. The one stem. I don't want to ink the flower. There we go. And I'm getting this other stem, so I'm just going to come in with my fingers, or with your towel, that's fine. Wipe off where I don't want it. Okay. And I'm going to stamp that up here. And if you're worried you're going to get it where you don't want it, just take a post-it note. I want this flower here, but I don't want that part. Like that. Okay. Now, I have a couple of leaves. This one here has got 2 leaves. I'm going to do that same partial inking. I'm just going to ink up that little one. I'm going to use this as a rosebud instead of a leaf. I'm going to stamp that there. Do it again. See, I got a little bit of that other one, so just come in and clean it off if you need to. And do one up here this way. Okay. Clean that off. Alright, now I'm done with the red ink. So I'm going to bring in this leaf. It's got 3 leaves on it. I'm going to ink it up in the green. I'm going to bring in the Pacific Point. I'm going to bring in one of our blender brushes. Tap it in the Pacific Point. And then I'm just going to tap some of that Pacific Point on the bottom edge of that stamp. Go ahead and stamp that on. Okay, and again I'm going to clean it off. Do that a couple more times. Each time you do it, it's going to be a little bit different. Let's put one of those here. Clean it off. I'll put one of those here. This gets a soft variation of color in there. Okay, I just noticed I think I need another leaf down here, so I'm just going to bring in that leaf. And do a little bit of partial leaf here. And I'm going to wash this off. I'm going to try and just ink up those stems in the green. just the stems. I don't even want the other part. And I'm going to try and add a little stem here. I just want the one, I think. Clean that off. I just don't want those floating. Oops, must be I cleaned it too well. Okay. Just so there's something there. Okay. That's all the green and the blue. The red. Now I'll bring in the yellow. And that little, I think it's supposed to be the center of a flower, so I'm going to use it for that. This little one here. I'm going to peel this off for a second. I'm going to stamp the center of this flower. Put that back on because I want to do a little bit around the edges. I'm going to fill in some of these spaces. So I'm just going to stamp once and then continue to stamp out till it's completely out of ink. And basically I'm just adding a little bit of something to the empty spaces. Okay. I'm going to take this mask off. And then to get it that bright color that is, came in with my water brush. And since this looks totally watercolored, I just took my water brush and just spread that color around, intensified it. I didn't worry about it being splotchy. I just colored it in. Almost done here, and I just did it to the blue flower. I didn't do it to any of the others. You could do it to the red ones too, but I just wanted that to look more like the picture. Okay. Now I'm just going to let that dry a little bit. So I'm going to go hit it with my heat tool to speed that up, and I will be right back. Okay, let's do the sentiment next, and I'm going to bring in the Memento ink for this. I forgot to mention that in the beginning. And a happy birthday from the Pretty Perennials. Ink it up really well. And then I'm going to stamp it right across. That's why you wanted that flower to be dry. Excuse me. Okay, now I see there's a couple little spots there that didn't work too well. So I'm going to bring my basic black marker from Stampin' Right, the Stampin' Right one. And I'm just going to, and I just touch in the color. I don't want to make big lines. I just want to tap it in. here. I think I need to re-ink that memento. I can't hardly tell the difference. This looks nice and dark. I'm using that tiny end, just tapping the color in. Okay, now I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of this. I think I'll use the snail. I haven't used it in a while, so I got to get it started. Well, let's move this. I have found that it likes a firmer surface. It doesn't like to work on my foam pad. Come on in the corner. Thank you. I don't use it enough, so I'm still fumbling with it. Bring in our card base. Go ahead and adhere this to the front of the card. There you go. That's it. It's a very simple card. Or as far as doesn't require a lot. Here's the one we did together. Here's the one I did previously. I think I had a little bit darker ink coverage on that one than this one, but there you go. Well, thanks for joining me at Jamie's Craft Table today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper.